This is how it goes nowadays, you know? Raise your kids, they hate each other. But in all seriousness, the two brothers did have ideological differences. One was more left leaning, the other was more right leaning.
Hello guys. Hello guys. Welcome back to another episode of What If I Make an Empire. In the last episode we saw the start of my empire, and in this episode we're just going to see it continue to grow. So this map is not the same as the first episode. Something happened, my maps got deleted. I talked about it in episode 13 of my Wixo. So if you want to learn more about a little bit more about it there, go ahead. But to start off, I I will continue making advances into the northeast of the US. Yeah, northeast of the US. And it'll get to the point where I'm just going to claim all of this. So my empire is definitely growing. I have a large Atlantic coast and a lot of area around the Great Lakes. Next, I will continue invading into these northern areas here, and I will then head up and start going to the Hudson Bay, eventually meeting up with the Hudson Bay and cutting off this area of these more main areas of Canada from all of this. But they still have like naval access like that. So I mean, it's not too bad until it, and then I then capture this island and cut off best trade, the best way to connect up the area there. Although there are like planes and stuff too, obviously. I'll then continue expanding along the St. Lawrence River, and I will capture this entire area of Canada. I'll then go here, capture along there. I think I might have Montreal now. But either way, Canada will move their capital over to Winnipeg. Actually, no, it'll be up in Edmonton. I think it's like right in there. So, yeah, I'll then continue my march down south and eventually do something I haven't done before. I will send out ships and make a naval landing right in here on. I don't remember the name of this island, but I will invade into it, capturing the whole thing, and bye bye this island from Canada. I'll do the same here, and then I will send more boats down from there. I'll make a landing in the Bahamas and pretty much take over the entirety. Oops, Haiti. And there, Bahamas are mine now. I'll then make a small landing in Cuba. And quickly, I'll take over this entire southern half of the country. And then start marching up towards Havana. And here we see Florida. Here we it was the last state to declare its independence, but they will invade and capture the north of Cuba. Also, this island, and the border is just going to look like this. I'm just going to not do that. I'm going to remove all this real quick. And all this. Okay. Now, back here, I will set foot on Haiti and claim it for myself because there is no government to stop me. I'll then start invading into the Dominican Republic, and this will go fairly easy. And so I capture the whole thing, then taking Puerto Rico and integrating both into my empire. So now my empire is looking something like this. My sphere of influence, something like, not that far down. My sphere of influence is something like this. And it will just keep growing to get even larger. I'll then start my invasion southwards and attempt to meet up with Texas. And since I think DC is about right in here, as I have captured it, and there aren't really any other major cities. Seattle's gone, Los Angeles, San Francisco, they're gone, Chicago, New York, Miami, Houston, Dallas, a lot of the major cities are gone. Um, they're going to the new U.S. Capitol. No, I don't want to do that. I don't. Oh my God. There we go. So, it's just gonna be like Denver, just like somewhere in there is the new U.S. capital. Okay, but I'll continue my spearhood, and eventually I'll meet up with Texas, this land, and continue my march down here. Oops. I'll then invade into Jamaica, quickly claiming it, and I'll attack some of these small islands, island nations here, only claiming that little bit of land there. I'll then set my eyes on Mexico. I will make a deal with Florida, Texas, and California, and we will all three simultaneously invade into Mexico. I will also invade into Belize, Oops. Also invade into Belize and Guatemala. Hopefully, hoping to get Pacific Coast access. Continue my invasion into Mexico, mostly focusing in on the Yucatan. Next, Florida men arrive, and they will pretty much quickly claim over all of this land here, as well as this little bit here, that little island, which I'll be visiting somewhere in this general area soon. Next, Texas will invade southwards. Like, Mexico City is like right in here, I think. So it should be relatively hard for it to fall. But Texas will then continue their march southwards. And now Texas will look something like this. They will also go after Louisiana for unnamed reasons. But they'll capture New Orleans, unfortunately. They'll capture New Orleans, and Baton Rouge will also fall. Then see Texas will invade more southwards, and we see California starting their invasion right here, eventually cutting Mexico off from Baja California, the mainland, and then quickly invading into it. We'll eventually capture most of Baja California, leaving this little tip here as Mexican troops arrive down there first. But they will continue their invasion, also going into New Mexico, and kind of staying along the border. They'll capture this island here, and it's kind of not going so well for Mexico. When we then see me make forming a spearhead and aiming it for the Mexican coast, cutting off any supplies to Guatemala and this area here. I'll then invade this last remaining area of Guatemala here, and eventually take Guatemala City, and Guatemala will fall completely. There's then a ton of troops that are completely encircled here, and they're all wiped off. The Florida men will then continue invading along the coast, eventually meeting up with Texas as they do the same up here in the US area. Also, in my original video, Texas was lime green. I changed it to pink just so it's a little bit easier for me to tell colors apart. But Florida will also kind of follow suit with me, but as they wouldn't have gotten this land, they will leave me some room to get to the Pacific. And it's about here as we're closing in on Mexico City, just about right here. that after California captures the rest of Baja California, we see Mexico eventually surrendering. Hmm. And for the peace treaty, simple, we just gain all the lands that we have. Well, I will hand over some of my land to Florida to keep relations with them on the better side. Florida will also get all this little bit of land here. Eventually, me, Texas, and Florida will make a treaty to divide up this land here. I will get all this. Texas will get all of this. And Florida will get the rest. Up in up in Washington, Vancouver, and or Washington, British Columbia, Union. We see them move south. We see, we see them move south, meet up with California. And now the U.S. has no coastline. It's not very united anymore either. We then see the what I'm just going to call them Washington. But we see Washington, the Washington State is will march up here, and eventually stuff like about this. And that will do it for the second episode of What If I Made an Empire. If you enjoy, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.